I want to have a pretty candid chat today about what it means to be a beginner. You see, the last week I've been incredibly harsh on myself, and that stems from the video I made last week. I procrastinated for the entire duration of the day, leaving me with just moments at the very end of the day to film said video. The sun was going down, the lighting was changing in the room, and it went from being fully lit at the beginning of that video to being a really dark, shadowy mess right at the end. And while I was editing this video, I made the edit to the best of my ability, and you watch the video and you can see it's a bit hodgy-podgy, it's a bit missy-matchy. It kind of really takes you out of the video, and I beat myself up about it. I had a hard time with it. I was really tough on myself about this particular video. Truth be told, I was harsh on myself. And when I came back and was analyzing why, I came to this realization that we don't often value being a beginner. I already think that my skills should be ahead of what they are without even taking in how far I've come throughout this process. And I think what we often forget is being a beginner is messy, it is chaotic, it is confusing, and we are going to doubt elements of that because of course we are. We're doing it, we're trying, we are turning up, and that is important. It's the action of moving forward, but there is also the element of it's not supposed to be good. I think we've got caught up in this idea that it's going to be perceived by other people and therefore it has to be perfect. And the reality is we are still learning. There is so much more to gather. There is so much more to learn and discover. And it is an art form of trying to push the needle forward to get better for ourselves, to discover, to think, to learn. And as it dominated my thoughts for the week, it made me think about a couple of things in particular. And the first was that I started a YouTube channel at the very beginning of this year, but prior to that, I had not edited a long form video. I hadn't edited, spliced, color graded, stitched, put a long video together in a story format. I had to learn all that. I had to learn the settings. I had to learn how to use a camera. I had to learn lighting. I had to learn all these different elements and put it together. And throughout that process, I have forgotten that I've only been doing this for 10 months. I right now have a running low battery because I left my camera on. And I haven't been dedicating every single moment to it. It has been something that I've been doing on the side. It is something I'm trying to get better at because I find it valuable for me, but I'm also trying to work out what that looks like for the viewer that's watching and for you, and how I want to present to the world. The second thing I realized is that I've been a writer for almost a decade, and it has been on and off. And so if I was to really connect that together, it's probably been a consistent 5 years of that time. And I thought about it in this longevity, sustainability standpoint, that realistically, if it's 5 years that I've really put towards trying to improve and get better and not quit, then I've probably, and knock on wood, hopefully got another 50 years of loving, learning, creating, and trying to become a better writer. And so when you scale it back, I realize that I am at the very beginning phase of my writing career. And I'm also at the very first yard line, or the first base, or that first chapter. And that felt really liberating and really special and beautiful, because being a beginner at any one thing is messy and confusing and humbling. As I thought about this throughout a week, I recalled a podcast that I listened to in 2017 with Ta-Nehisi Coates on the Bill Simmons podcast. Bill Simmons is a sports writer famously known for writing for ESPN, but has gone on to create sort of a career of his own, starting his own company called The Ringer. I'll link the podcast below. Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote Between the World and Me, one of my favorite books of all time, and was a MacArthur Fellow and has won several prestigious awards for his writing. And in this conversation, they talk about creating and being an artist and being a writer. And throughout this conversation, they talk about Zach Lowe, who is now the best basketball writer on the planet, but at the time was pretty early in his career, or at least when they were referencing this really early part of his career. And Bill says that you won't become the writer you think you're going to be until you're in your 40s. And Ta-Nehisi Coates completely agrees. He essentially says that if he was given the opportunity in his early 20s, he would have blown it. He didn't hit success in the conventional way, in the book form way, until he hit his 40s. And he was really glad for that because he thinks he would have gone off the rails. He makes the comment that when I was in my 20s, I fell in love so easily and so quickly, and I would have been married to 12 different women if they had have had me, because that's how quickly I fell in love and how quickly I fell out of certain things. I liked that analogy because I think he discovered over the years that he became a better writer because he had the time, and he had the time when nobody cared, when he was posting and only 5 people were reading this thing. And they talk about that if people had cared at the start, it would have derailed the entire thing. And so it's the time when no one's watching that enhances your skills and that you become better, and that time accumulates. It's that consistent practice over the course of decades. It goes from being a beginner to being an expert. And I think even any expert that is humble and gracious and remembers what it was like when no one was reading anything that they wrote or no one was watching any of their videos will tell you that it can all disappear tomorrow because they've learnt these skills and you keep accumulating these skills, but there is always more to learn. Which leads me back to thinking about how undervalued it is to be a beginner. That is when you get to try things. That is when you get to merge maybe this thing with this thing and see what it turns out to be. That is when you get to go find your own creative flair and your style and what you love and what it is that you want to make in the first place. And for me, I think about it in a really simplistic form, but it is trying one new thing every time I sit down to write. So whether it be a new word or a new way to arc a character or a new way to incorporate dialogue. When it comes to filmmaking, it's trying to add maybe a different transition I didn't know, or it's trying to edit or get a new piece of gear and try different things with it. I'm currently running on a new tripod. Thanks, Donna did it. But there are just so many different ways that you can discover and create and learn. And I think being a beginner is actually the most exciting thing in the world because you get to go try climb the mountain. You get to go through the journey that is still in front of you, not behind you. There is no one watching yet. Nobody cares yet. And that is maybe one of the most liberating things that we get to experience as human beings. And it takes a long time to get good. And I think that's the part that we get caught up in. We think that it should happen faster than what it happens. And it doesn't. It takes a longer time than that. To become better at anything takes a large amount of time, focus, consistency, and truthfully, it takes years. So changing that mindset of turning it from 3 months into 3 years, 5 years, a decade. What can you accomplish in that time if you just don't give up and you keep trying and you keep turning up and you keep presenting as a beginner? What is it that it turns into if you can be a beginner for long enough? And I wanted to share this with you this week because it's been dominating my thoughts. And I really just wanted to encourage spending the time doing the thing, taking the action, while also understanding, and if you're watching this, that if you're learning to rollerblade or learning to write or make films or whatever it might be, that's the fun part, that climbing the mountain is the thing that you want, that failing is okay, because that is what being a beginner is, and that's what it should be. It shouldn't be instant success. And I just wanted to leave you with a quote from Ta-Nehisi Coates from his MacArthur Fellow speech. And I'm going to read it out for you just here. The challenge of writing is to see your horribleness on a page, to see your terribleness, and then go to bed and wake up the next day and take the horribleness and the terribleness and refine it and make it not so terrible and not so horrible. And then go to bed again and come the next day and refine it a little bit more and make it not so bad. And then go to bed the next day and do it again and make it maybe average. And then one more time, if you're lucky, maybe you'll get to good. And if you've done that, that's a success. Thanks for giving me some of your precious time. It truly means the world. My name's Tim. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself, and I will see you back here next week.